Wisconsin. The state assembly had been debating Governor Scott Walker's plan to take away collective bargaining rights for state workers over more than 2 days. And then, very early this morning, Republicans called a vote that took Democrats by surprise. And in just, in just seconds, they closed the rolls and declared the measure passed. Its fate is uncertain, of course, because the Senate Democrats in Wisconsin are still on the lam, out of state. They refuse to return to Madison, which means there's no quorum and there can't be a vote. So today we have State Representative and the Assembly Minority Leader, Peter Barca, with us over the phone. Peter, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. It was quite a scene last night in the Capitol. As you correctly reported, there was a vote taken in a matter of seconds. We believe it was an improper vote. It very likely was an illegal vote. We're reviewing the tapes this morning. We don't believe the question was properly put before the body. In their haste to take away the basic rights of workers throughout Wisconsin, they trampled on democracy throughout the day and really throughout this past week.
Well, Mr. Barca, let me just ask you, what do you think is really at stake here? We understand that there's a willingness to accede to the demands to pay higher rates into the pension fund, but the collective bargaining seems to be the big issue, that and other things that are embedded in the bill.
Yes, that's correct. Well, I mean, the tens of thousands of people that have come to Madison at the Capitol each day to protest is just unrivaled. We don't have these kinds of protests, not since the civil rights and Vietnam War, because people are outraged that their governor and their legislators are willing to take away their rights to collectively bargain at every level: city, town, village, state, county, vocational college, public schools. And Wisconsin has a long, proud tradition of honoring worker rights. Not only did collective bargaining for municipal workers start in Wisconsin, but we're the state that brought forward workers' compensation and unemployment compensation to the nation.
Right.
So it's sort of trampling our heritage, Bill.
Doesn't the governor argue, though, that most of the worker protections that we're talking about are embedded in the civil service law rather than as a result of union bargaining?
No, basically, he would take away 95% of their rights and leave them with virtually nothing. Civil service also, ironically, was created in Wisconsin as well by the La Follette legacy, by former fighting Bob La Follette, who created the Progressive Party. And ironically, the same governor who says, well, I'm going to let you keep your civil service protection, also in the same bill takes away civil service protection from the University of Wisconsin hospital workers. But civil service protection was started 75 years ago, and then 25 years later, we created collective bargaining to provide for workers to have influence in worker safety issues and issues of not only their compensation and benefits, but other important decisions that are made in the workplace. Civil service only assures that people are hired properly and fired properly.
Right. But what about the argument that public sector unions are unlike those in the private sector because in the public sector they're negotiating for money from taxpayers and are in a position to reward politicians who favor them?
Well, I think it's malarkey, quite frankly. I mean, in our state for 50 years, this is the way it's worked. Governors of both parties, Democrat and Republicans, have sat across from each other at the bargaining table, looked each other in the eye, and came up with the best solution. And that's what we expect in Wisconsin. That's the Wisconsin way.
How long can the Senate hold out and not vote?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure after the spectacle that occurred in the state assembly last night, they probably are very reluctant to come back because, you know, in the assembly, there have been, rule violation after rule violation in their haste to cram this bill through in record time. In other states where they're trying this bill, they're at least having hearings over the course of a number of weeks and allowing for a deliberative process. Here, it's worse than a kangaroo court, quite frankly.
So you expect that the governor can win this battle in the long run or not?
Well, it's questionable because I think many of the legislators are starting to wake up. We had 4 Republican legislators last night vote against the bill, and a couple did not vote at all. So I think that the support of Republican lawmakers is softening, just like it is amongst governors around the state. Governor Mitch Daniels decided not to pursue this agenda. Governor Snyder at Michigan said that he wants nothing to do with this kind of an approach to dealing with workers. People in this country who work hard every day to support their families and dignity, they need respect in the workplace.
All right. Representative,
we're going to keep up the battle, though. And if he does win this battle, I think he'll win the war in the long term. I think public opinion has turned against him dramatically.
Okay, Peter Barca, the minority leader of the Wisconsin State Assembly, thanks very much for taking the time to be with us.